back talking about poo on the Kaz and Julie Show.
What a Julie and Kaz Show.
Whatevs. Kaz and Julie. My name is Kaz. I'm a registered massage therapist, an intuitive energy healer, and a meditation coach. I own Key Health and Wellness in Whitby.
And I am Julie. I'm a health and nutrition coach, sometimes yoga teacher. And my company is Balanced Life with Julie.
And on our podcast, if you have not listened before, first of all, how dare you? Second of all,
You're
welcome. We are just two like health and wellness nuts, and we like to talk about different topics from different points of view. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. Sometimes there's brawling.
There's blood.
There's usually swearing. This one's crazy. And today we're doing the number 2 part of poop.
Part 2 of poo.
Number 2.
That's
what
of
makes
poo.
it funny.
Number 2 of poo.
So on number 1, we did a lot of talk about constipation. So I encourage you to go back to that episode to listen because we have so much more to talk about. I don't really want to recap.
Yeah.
We recapped enough.
We did too many recaps. We need to keep moving forward.
So we're going to talk, what we're really talking about when we're saying poop is if you're having some issues with poop, whether it's you can't poop, you poop too much, you're not pooping enough, it looks crazy. Oh, we haven't talked about when it looks like. Let's talk about what it looks like. Ooh.
We talked a little bit about it, but
So ideally,
you don't want any blood in there.
No.
For sure. That's not a good sign.
No. I guess so.
You don't want rabbit pellets. Not a good sign.
Oh, I might not get through this episode. It's already making me laugh. Okay. So no pellets. We want it to look like a nice snake because it's supposed to follow the shape of your colon. And it's supposed to come out as one solid piece. Mm-hmm. If you turn around and go, holy that came out of me, that's great. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah. You want to be impressed.
Exactly. You want to be like, I need to Instagram this baby.
No, but don't.
Hashtag impressive.
No, don't do that.
What? Let's start a trend. Actually, don't, because then they're going to hashtag the Kaz and Julie Show.
We don't want to be on that trend.
No. Don't take a picture of your poop.
No.
So color-wise.
That's one of those like things where you just have like a private moment and are proud of yourself. And that's it. And then you just flush.
Yes.
End of story.
So color-wise, I really want to get on this topic. It shouldn't be green.
No.
Any color of green. It should not be black or tar-like.
Well, sometimes when you're cleansing.
Okay, but that's but on a regular.
No, on a regular,
we're
it shouldn't
talking
be
about
black.
On a regular. Again, it shouldn't be bloody or like mucusy.
No, there should not be blood in there.
Did I say yellow?
No, it shouldn't be yellow.
Or purple or blue or pink.
It needs to be brown.
If it's pink, you need to take a picture of it. I feel like if it's rainbow colored, take a picture of it. I'm willing to look at that and be like, damn, what?
Okay, so if it's a rainbow colored poo, please take a picture and send it to Kaz.
Because maybe you're a unicorn.
Yes. Magical. But it should be just poo brown.
Yes.
I mean, we know what that is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's the color it needs to be.
And there shouldn't, well, I don't know. I'm just making this up.
Do you think our families would be proud of this right now?
I think so. Mine have very low expectations of me, I think. So they would just be like, whatever. She's not showing pictures of, she's not pooing on screen or something.
We're good.
She hasn't had to go to that level to make money. I think they'd be fine. I lost my train of thought.
We were talking about the colors of poo.
We were. And so poo brown is what it should be. Now, in terms of what it should look like, obviously we want it to be the essay together. Lumps of food is not good because that means you're not digesting stuff. You're not digesting.
Properly. Yeah, you shouldn't have lumps of stuff in there. But if you're having lumps, it could be like one of the things is maybe you're not digesting properly. The other thing could be what you're eating. So we covered this a little bit. Like if you're eating like GMO foods,
the Terminator foods that
Then
reconfigure inside you
they're
and form
not
the same thing.
really like your body doesn't really treat them the same way. So they may not get digested, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Can that also indicate that you have an intolerance to something if you're unable to digest it and it comes out like that?
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, there's also like food sensitivities that you want to be aware of. And also, if you're, depending on what you have, like what sensitivity you have, like your body will tell you pretty readily what it's not into. So, for example, I had a meal the other day at this fabulous restaurant downtown. And I walked away from that meal feeling so light and so energized. And that's how food should make you feel. It should make you feel really good. Now, I remember back in the day when I was just eating whatever and not paying attention. So there was a lot of dairy in my meals, a lot of sugar,
Fried foods.
meat. And I would walk away from meals feeling bloated and gassy. And my body was very clearly telling me what it felt. And I wasn't paying attention until I had to, until I started to have health issues. And so then I was like, okay, what am I eating? And how can I change this? And so you want to be looking at how do you feel 30 minutes after a meal? And sometimes it's not even 30 minutes.
I was
like
just going to say.
For people who are like, celiac and they have something they shouldn't have, like their body tells them right away what's up. So and I don't think of that as a bad thing. I think like when your body's that clearly communicating with you, how we're marketed to food-wise and what we should be eating are two completely different things. Marketing has nothing to do with nutrition. Marketing is just selling stuff, right? But your body will tell you what foods work and what don't work. And generally, like things that are highly processed don't work. A lot of people have dairy intolerances. And so there's that.
And they're not even aware of it because they're so used to it, so used to feeling a certain way, or their body not digesting properly, I think.
I had the most bizarre thing with my sister once. Like she takes a pill before she has dairy.
So she can have the dairy.
So she can have the dairy. So she said to me, she's like, well, you don't take a pill. I'm like, I just don't have dairy. Like my body doesn't like dairy. Why would I keep having it? That makes no sense to me.
That's very interesting.
There's so many substitutes out there. So yeah. Chewing your food is very important as well, because if you just swallow your food. So chewing, mastication is the start of the digestive process. There are enzymes that get excreted in your mouth that break up the food, and it starts to signal to your whole digestive system, your stomach, your colon, that there's food on the way, your pancreas. So there are different enzymes that get added at different points in the digestive process. And certain foods get broken down in certain parts of your digestive system. So not everything is broken down in the stomach. That's not how it works.
Exactly. And so chewing really is giving yourself a head start on getting everything digested properly. So for me, I used to just shovel food into my mouth. So a lot of air was going in. So then I'm getting very bloated. And I wasn't chewing properly. And so it was painful.
So you want to be chewing about, depending on what you're having, right? Like if you're having soup, right? Like liquid soup, pumpkin soup. You're not going to chew everyone 20 times.
We're going to start a new fad. We're going to chew your soup.
But if you're having rice and vegetables, like you want to be chewing that because it requires
meats. You should be chewing. Or not.
We know how I feel about meat. Keep it at a minimum, very minimum, like 0. But go on.
Yes. Well, just in general, if you've never done a mindfulness exercise before, try mindfulness chewing because you have to chew that one piece of food for like a minimum of 30 chews. And so you're counting how many chews, and in that time you have to think about the flavor, you're thinking about like the texture of it, how it feels in your mouth. And it really just brings you back to that moment. I know there are certain cultures that when you eat, like when it's dinner time, everything else is put aside. So you're not watching TV. I know like North American, I guess tradition, if you want to say, is to sit in front of the TV and eat. And you're so mindless that your body's not prepared, like you said. Like now it's too busy zoning out, doing whatever. It's not paying attention to the fact that you're supposed to be doing this incredible job, which is, you know, giving your body substance, energy.
Yeah. The other thing also is that there's a lag between your digestive system and your brain. So when you're eating too quickly, you can overeat and to the point of pastful, which is not very comfortable. But if you slow down your meal, so I have clients do what I call the 25-minute meal. And basically you're slowing down your chewing, you're putting your fork down between bites, you're taking your time, you're putting away all the distractions, so your cell phone, the TV. You have dinner or a meal with somebody or your family, and you're actually really taking the time to be in company with others so that your meal becomes much more enjoyable. The other thing is when we're in a stress state and we're rushing and we're not paying attention, our digestive system doesn't really work properly, like because it's not getting the signal from the mouth that you're having a meal. And when we're in say we're in an elevated stress state, the food doesn't get broken down properly anyway. So you actually want to force yourself like to sit down, take a few breaths, calm down your nervous system, take in your food, and then start. The problem is North Americans are so used to rushing, like everything's an emergency, that their nervous system never calms down enough
to properly digest
digest food. And that becomes problematic like down the line in your digestive system when things aren't broken down properly, when things aren't absorbed correctly.
Well, it's just rushed through.
Yeah.
So there's no time.
Yeah. And then of course, like obviously you want to be looking at if there are food sensitivities, or like really nailing down what those food sensitivities are so that you're taking things out that are harmful to your body. And a lot of the food sensitivities come from just the fact that there's so many chemicals that get sprayed on the food, and that's produce as well as meat and dairy. In dairy, it's just kind of injected in.
So we've talked endlessly about what happens when you can't poo. So let's talk about when you can't stop pooing, because that's also an issue, because that's kind of what we're talking about when things are being shuttled through so fast that you have no time for absorption and things like that. So someone that, say, has chronic diarrhea, would you suggest there's some good things to take? Like, would you still talk about fiber and things like that? I know that fiber is the binding part
I'd say
to the process.
Fiber is really good. Fiber is never bad.
And you'd still want, obviously, to drink a lot more too, because you're losing so much in dehydration when you're just flushing everything out, because your body doesn't have time to absorb that.
Yeah. And I'd want to know what that person's eating and what their stress state is like.
Yes.
Because
that's very true.
That could also be part of it. And those are things that you want to take apart. Sometimes, like the odd time, it's just because you ate something that was bad, like went bad, and so obviously your digestive system is going to have a reaction. I'm trying to remember the last time I had something like that happen. Like it's been probably years and years and years. It's not a normal thing.
Usually, if I have anything like that, it's stress related.
Yeah. So stress is like a part of it as well that we want to be looking at and taking apart. It's definitely not something that you want to ignore and hope that it just goes away.
I think regardless, if you're not having a normal and routinely, I don't know, natural poop, let's say, then there's definitely something going on with your enteric system, so your gut and the brain, because the gut is nicknamed the second brain for a reason. The two have to talk to each other. And if there is no level of communication, then everything is off. We were talking earlier about someone I know, their son has a lot of behavioral issues, was diagnosed with ADHD. And a lot of it came down to the fact that he wasn't pooping. He had a lot of trouble going, and it was creating and harboring like severe emotional ups and downs. And once that became regulated, it was regulated with like a supplement that he's taking, only because he's very fussy with his eating. And so, because that ideally was the first thing that they looked at. But once he became more regular and could go, his emotional state became like very mellow, and everyone comments now on like, what did you do?
I mean, the thing could also be like if you're not pooping, it throws off like the gut microbiome. And when your gut bacteria is thrown off, it affects your mood.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we all know
these things are kind of connected.
You're very uncomfortable, right? If you can't, regardless if you're going too much or too little, you're very uncomfortable all the time. You're not in a good mood. So there is something to say about that.
So much to say about poo.
I know.
We could keep talking, but we won't.
We will do a number 3, I'm sure, at some point, but we'll just leave it
it'll
at
be
a number
a poo
2.
follow-up. Yeah. So thanks for tuning in. Very interesting topic.
Yes. We hope that it helps. And we want to hear from you if you've had troubles in the past, what you've done to restore yourself and get yourself back on track. Or if you're having trouble, there's maybe some suggestions we can make. And if you never want to hear this topic again, let us know, but let's hope not. And please no hashtagging us on anything to do with poo.
Yes.
But if you do want to send us your rainbow colored poo, then you're going to do that on social media. You can find me at Ki Health and Wellness Whippy. That's KI Health and Wellness Whippy.
And you can find me at Julie Brock.
And have a wonderful day and happy pooing, everyone.
Yay. Bye.
This show has been produced by podcastexpert.ca.